There's a word for the private reality your senses built around you. It's called the umwelt. And once you understand it, you can't ununderstand it. Right now, you think you're seeing the world. Not a version of it, not a filtered copy. The actual thing, the room you're in, the light on the screen, the colors, the sounds bleeding in from outside. It feels complete. It feels like reality, full and finished, delivered straight to you. It isn't. What you're experiencing right now is a narrow, heavily edited slice of what's actually out there. And the strangest part is that you'll never feel the edges of it because the parts you're missing were never invited in to begin with. The umwelt is the private reality each creature lives inside. And once you understand it, you start to suspect that the solid, obvious world in front of you is something closer to a guess your brain is making. A useful guess, but only one of millions. The philosopher Thomas Nagel captured something close to this in 1974 when he asked a deceptively simple question: what is it like to be a bat? His point was that a bat navigating by echolocation, bouncing sound off the world and reading the echoes, isn't experiencing a degraded version of your reality. It's experiencing something so fundamentally different that you can't imagine it from the inside, no matter how hard you try. Ed Yong explored this same territory beautifully in his Pulitzer Prize-winning book, An Immense World. What I want to do here is take you deeper into that strangeness, animal by animal, sense by sense. Let me show you what you're missing. And to do that, I want to start with an animal that barely experiences anything at all. Consider the tick. A tick sits on the tip of a blade of grass, and it can wait there for a very long time. In some cases, dormant, sensing almost nothing, for up to 18 years. Think about that. 18 years of near nothing, waiting. Because for the tick, the entire universe is built out of three things, not 3,000. Three, it's blind and deaf. It has no eyes to lose and no ears to miss. What it can detect is the smell of butyric acid, a chemical that leaks from the skin of every mammal on Earth. That smell is the tick's alarm clock. When a warm body passes underneath and that scent drifts up, the tick lets go and falls. Then a second signal takes over, warmth. The heat of a mammal's body tells the tick it landed on something alive. And the third signal is touch, the feel of hair and skin, guiding it to a bare patch where it can bite in and drink. Smell, warmth, touch. That's it. That's the whole world. The color of the animal it lands on, the sound of its heartbeat, the sky above, the grass below, other ticks, the sun, everything you would call the scene simply does not exist for the tick. Not because it's ignoring those things, because there is no door in its body for them to enter through. The biologist who first described this, Jakob von Uexküll, the founder of what we now call biosemiotics, the study of how living things produce and interpret signs, made a point that should unsettle you a little. He said the tick's world isn't a poor, broken version of the real world. It's complete. From the inside, the tick isn't missing anything at all. Its three-signal reality feels whole, the same way yours feels whole to you. So here's the question that should be forming in your head right now. If a tick is walking around convinced its tiny world is the whole story and it's completely wrong, how sure are you that yours is the whole story? Let's climb up the ladder. Let's look at something that sees more than you do, not less. Step outside and look at a flower. A plain yellow flower, let's say. You see yellow, maybe a slightly darker center. That's the flower, as far as you're concerned. A bee sees a landing strip. Bees can detect ultraviolet light, a whole band of the spectrum that is completely invisible to you. And many flowers have evolved patterns painted in ultraviolet, patterns called nectar guides. To you, they're not dim or faint or hard to see. They are absolutely nothing. They don't exist in your reality. But to the bee, that same flower is glowing with lines and rings and arrows, all pointing inward, saying, "The food is here, land right here." The flower has been broadcasting on that channel the entire time you've been looking at it. You were just never built to receive it, and it doesn't stop at flowers. Bees also read the sky. Sunlight scatters through the atmosphere in a pattern of polarized light, and bees can see that pattern directly and use it as a compass, even on a cloudy day when the sun is hidden. There's a map written across the sky above your head right now. You walk under it every day, and you've never once seen it. So the bee's world is bigger than yours in a real, measurable way, which raises an uncomfortable thought. If the bee has extra channels you don't, what makes you the one seeing reality correctly? Why would your slice be the true one and the bee's be the distortion? Now, you might expect this to be a simple ladder. More senses, more reality. A better view. But nature doesn't play it that clean. Because the animal with the most spectacular eyes on the planet might be worse at seeing than you are. Meet the mantis shrimp. Your eyes have 3 types of color receptors: red, green, blue. From those 3, your brain builds every color you've ever seen. The mantis shrimp has 12 separate color channels, including several tuned to ultraviolet, stretching across a range of light so wide it should embarrass every other animal alive. For years, scientists assumed this meant the mantis shrimp lived inside a color experience so rich we couldn't even imagine it. A supercharged rainbow. Then a team led by Justin Marshall actually tested it. They trained the shrimp to recognize specific colors, then asked them to tell apart shades that were close together. And the mantis shrimp failed. When 2 colors were close, it couldn't reliably separate them. With 4 times your color hardware, it was worse at the thing color vision is supposed to be for. Here's why that matters, and it's genuinely strange. Your brain does something clever. It compares the signals from your 3 receptors against each other and computes the differences, and that comparison is where fine color really comes from. The mantis shrimp doesn't seem to do that. Each of its 12 channels appears to work more or less alone, firing off a kind of rapid barcode of the light rather than blending it. It isn't seeing a richer version of your colors. It's running a completely different system, one built for speed and snap decisions in a violent life, not for the smooth, blended world you take for granted. So sit with that for a second. More didn't mean better. It meant other. The mantis shrimp isn't higher on your ladder or lower on it. It's not on your ladder at all. It's in a different building. And once you accept that, the examples start to get genuinely alien. Go underground, into the dark, and find the star-nosed mole. This animal is nearly blind, and it doesn't care because it doesn't see its world. It touches it. On the end of its snout are 22 fleshy pink rays arranged in a star, and packed onto that star are around 25,000 tiny touch receptors called Eimer's organs, more than 5 times the nerve endings in your entire hand, crammed into a space smaller than a fingertip. The mole sweeps this star across the ground, touching 10 or more separate spots every second, and it builds a picture of the world out of pure touch, the way you build one out of light. And it does it at a speed that's hard to believe. It can find a piece of prey, decide whether it's edible, and eat it in as little as 120 milliseconds. The actual "is this food or not" decision happens in about 8 milliseconds, which is close to the physical speed limit of a nerve signal. Its reality isn't a dim room it's fumbling through. It's a bright, fast, high-resolution world. It's just painted entirely in touch, in a place where your dominant sense would be useless. Now go into the water, into a muddy river where you couldn't see your own hand. There lives a fish that solved darkness by inventing a sense you don't have at all. The weakly electric fish generates its own electric field, wrapping its body in a bubble of electricity. And when any object comes near, that object bends the field, and the fish reads the distortion through thousands of receptors in its skin. It's using electricity the way you use light. From those tiny warps in the field, it can tell how far away something is, what shape it is, and here's the eerie part, what it's made of. It can feel the difference between a rock and a living thing, because living tissue disturbs an electric field differently than dead matter does. This fish can sense whether something is alive without seeing it, hearing it, or touching it. Fish that share the water with it have a related but separate system. The lateral line, a row of pressure receptors running the length of their body that detects disturbances in the water itself. The bow wave of an approaching predator, the ripple of a fleeing prey. 2 entirely different systems, both invisible to you, both painting vivid pictures of the same dark river. There is no word in your experience for what either is like, because you have never once perceived the world that way, and you never will. And while we're talking about hidden navigational senses, birds. A migratory bird like a European robin can detect the Earth's magnetic field directly, a sense called magnetoreception, and use it as a compass to navigate thousands of miles between continents. Sea turtles do the same thing, returning to the exact beach where they were born decades earlier, guided by a magnetic map embedded in their nervous system. You have no organ for this. You walk under the same magnetic field every day and feel absolutely nothing. The robin feels it the way you feel the warmth of the sun. Then there's the animal that quietly breaks the whole idea of where a sense even lives in a body. Picture an elephant. You already know they're loud. But a lot of what an elephant says is pitched too low for you to hear at all, in a range called infrasound. And those deep calls don't just travel through the air. They travel through the ground as vibrations rippling out through the soil. Other elephants, sometimes miles away, pick those vibrations up through their feet and their trunks. The researcher Caitlin O'Connell Rodwell watched them do it, freezing, leaning forward, pressing down, listening to the earth. An elephant can stand in what you would call total silence and be receiving a message through the bottoms of its feet. The conversation is happening. You just aren't part of the world where it's audible. Let me leave you with one more, because it's the one that best sums up the whole point. The scallop, a shellfish, something you might order at dinner. It has up to 200 eyes lining the edge of its shell, tiny and blue and about 1 millimeter across. And they don't work like yours. Instead of a lens, each eye focuses light using a curved mirror, a living mirror made of stacked crystals, the same basic optical trick we use in reflecting telescopes. This brainless creature grew 200 telescopes along the rim of its body, and nobody fully knows what its world looks like from the inside. We can't. We can only stand outside the bubble and guess. So come back to your own body now. Come back to the room, the screen, the light. Everything you've ever seen, heard, felt, tasted, or smelled has come to you through a small handful of channels that evolution happened to install in your particular animal. Not because those channels capture reality, because they kept your ancestors alive long enough to pass them on. The ultraviolet glow on the flower, the map across the sky, the electric shape of a living body, the magnetic pull that guides a bird home, the message traveling through the ground, all of it is here, right now, in the same space you're sitting in. And you are sealed off from every bit of it. You are not seeing reality. You are seeing your version, a single, narrow, species-specific slice. And like the tick on its blade of grass, you feel completely certain it's the whole thing. That certainty is the illusion. And now that you've seen past the edge of it, even a little, the world is going to feel a lot bigger and a lot stranger than it did a few minutes ago.